Fine. Last lecture, we have seen about the enhanced list view and how to create some of the filter options over here. When you go to the any of the object onto the home tab itself, you usually have all these sections, right? Now this particular section, what you see on the left side, is called as sidebar. Now this section over here, this is something called as list view, and where here is actually where we have learned the customizations. This is called as recent record section, and there are a few more sections like reports and tools as well. Now I have told you like how exactly you could create some new options. If you wanted to filter out the data according to your need, right, you can go with the options what are already over here, the standard, or else what you can do would be like, you can create your own options. I'm giving you this command. You can unmute yourself. Tell me whether you guys were being able to solve all these assignments, or is there is something which is left and you wanted me to assist on to this, so that what would be happening. I'll take it live over here, and if it's a difficulty with everyone, that is going to be solved. All right. So okay, let me try to just do everything. So configure the list view on the case object to represent only high priority cases. All right. So what I will be going to do, first of all, I'll go to case object. And if I go with this enhanced list view or the list view, you can see all the cases that are closed, open, my cases, and go. All right. So we wanted to have only, we wanted to have an option over there which would show us only high priority cases. All right. So what I would be doing is like, I'll first of all create a new view. Go with this, create a new view. I'll give the name as high priority. And then this should be get applied to all of the cases. I'll first of all select a field inside. Inside the case, we have a field called priority. And I'll form up a formula like, the priority should equals to high. The priority should equals to high, right? Whenever somebody click this option, he should be able to see those cases where the priority is equals to high. So I'll go with this all. The important thing is to have priority, which is already, I'll make it visible for all of the profile users, and I'll just save it. So with this option, you will going to see only those cases where the priority is what? High. So that was first. Now second is like, configure a lead view on the lead, which would represent all those leads where the industry should be banking. All right. So I'll go with lead. Similar to this, we already had created inside account as well, right? Banking accounts, you know, banking accounts. The same way I'm actually, the same way I'm creating a new view inside the lead, and I'll be making this as, banking leads like this. All uncovered lead, my uncovered. I'll go with all unconverted, and I'll go with the industry. There's a field called industry, so industry should equals to banking, right? I make my selection. Thus, industry should equals to banking. Now, to justify this over here, you must have industry. So I'm just adding the industry over here. I'll making it bringing a little bit up, making it visible for all of the users, and just saving this, right? So after this option has been selected, you would be going to see all those industry where the industry is banking. You can see we don't have any records for that. I can show you like just making changes in a small account. If I go with industry, if I make this, if I make this as banking, and if I save it, right? And now if I go to the leads homepage and I select banking leads, so you will be going to see the records of Christine Akin. All right. Why? Because the industry is banking. So that was my second question. Third is configure the list view option on the opportunity object to represent only those opportunity where the amount is greater than 50,000. All right. So I'll go with opportunity. And yeah, see, I similar to this, I already have contract constructed, right? You can go and refer this, right? You can go and refer this where, like, the amount is greater than 2 lakhs. So know here you just require to replace the value of maybe like, what is that, 50,000 or something else, right? So I think this you could already solve. Configure the list view option for the account object to represent only those accounts where the industry is finance and the rating is hot. Now, similar to this, for industry equals to banking, I have created, right? I'll make changes into that. Okay, I'll make changes into that. So let's consider industry equals to banking, all right? And the rating should be hot. So what I would be doing is like, so I'll make the changes in this banking account and hot rating. All right. I'll make those changes over here. And now, see, we have one filter option. What is that? The industry should be banking. I'll make the rating. I'll add just one more thing over here, and that is rating. That is rating. Where is rating? This one. Rating should equals to what? Rating should equals to hot. Let me insert. Now we have two, two filter conditions. All right. So we have industry. We don't have rating. Let me add the rating as well over here and make it visible for all of the users. Just save it. So now you will be going to see those accounts, those accounts where the industry should is banking and rating is what? Hot. You can make the adjustments for industry equals to finance, right? The last one is configure a list view option for the contact that represents all of the contact records whose mailing city is Bangalore and the email ID is not empty. All right. So for the contact object, right, I would be creating that mailing city should be Bangalore and email ID should not be empty. I'm having one of them, right? I'm having one of them. I just make adjustment with this, right? So I'll before making adjustment, let me do one more thing. I'm making the changes over here. I'll making a small changes. I'm making the mailing city as Bangalore. All right. See, if you are, if you are mailing city as Bangalore and the email ID should not equals to blank. Already have email ID. Let me try to make that change over here. Similarly with this as well. Mailing city right now is San Francisco. I'll make it Bangalore. Okay. So now we have already this option. Let me make some changes. Blank email contacts. All right. I'll make this as like, I'll make this as mailing city as Bangalore. I'll go with this. Okay. So the first thing would be like the email ID should not equals to blank. I'm going with not equals to blank. And the second would be like, second would be the mailing city. The value of the mailing city should equals to Bangalore. I'm going with this. So now there would be two filter conditions. First, the email ID should not equals to blank and mailing city should equals to Bangalore. All right. So we have email. Let me add mailing city as well. Mailing city. All right. So title also I'm removing, making it visible for all of the users, and let's just save it. Now you have this record number 2 where the mailing city is Bangalore, and as you can see, the email ID actually is not blank. This would represent only those contacts with this, right? So these were the assignments. Now let me start with object ID, or what is the what first of all what is an object, and what is the significance of an object ID, and how what should be the purpose of learning this. Let's start with this. See, what is an object? First of all, let me try to describe you that concept. See, every entity what you see is like lead, account, contacts, and opportunity. These are actually tabs. We in the last lecture we also have understood like what is a relationship. What is a relationship between a tab and an object, and the naming conventions as well. We also learn like first of all the relationship is one to one. For one object there is always one tab. One tab represents one object only. From both of the sides is one to one only. That is the mapping. The second is like the when we talk about the naming convention, we came to know that objects, they are always singular. That their names are always singular, whereas the tab name, their respective tab name, is always plural in the form, right? So this is what we already had learned. Now let's talk about what exactly is an object, right? If I talk, if we are discussing about object ID, we should first of all have an understanding, one basic understanding, what is an object, what is the significance of an object in Salesforce. All right. So see, object actually is a technical terminology. Object actually is what? It's a technical terminology. Now, whenever we wanted to represent any entity, any real world entity, any business entity, see, understand one thing, what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a CRM technology, customer relationship management. All right. Products, what we are developing, we always develop a product. This product, there's a proper name for this product. What is the technology of this product? This product falls into a technology called as CRM. So whatever we will do, when we got into the industry and we started working on the projects, we have been tagged to particular job, we have been tagged to particular project. So what we are developing ultimately is a CRM product. All right. Now see, CRM always deal with business. What we help the businesses to grow. What we develop an automatic product for them, so that this product would going to, help them, and this product will improve their performance. And wherever they require the help, wherever they require the automations to be get done, our product would going to help them out, right? So see, what we are developing ultimately is a product which is going to be used by the business. So now whatever the entity inside the business, right, for us, those entities are what? Those entities are object. Those entities are object. Let me try to give you a few real time examples, so that you would be more, you would be more able to relate this, what is an object itself means. All right, let's say if I'm developing a product, if I'm developing a product for a university, for an university. All right. So let's try to understand how many different entities could be there onto the universities. So there could be like, there could be like, first of all, university have what they have, they have different courses with them. All right. So that could be one of the entity course. All right. Or courses. That could be one of the entity with them. All right. Second could be like students are there, they enroll for different courses. Then they have different fee structures, or maybe they have different, uh, what could I say, would be like exam would could also be one entity over there. Or they may have certain different, CSR activities with them. They have something like they have something like, I I just don't getting what to say. But yeah, these could be like, these could be different entities with them. All right, if you start with, for example, if you have if you are giving support for a business, if you're developing a product for them. For example, if there is a business, if your client is probably a pharmaceutical client, that at that time there would be like a product, there would be like, the USPs, the unique selling points. There could be like, there could be like particularly, a range of diagnosis, whatever, this product. And there could be simple different things over there, right? So every real world entity, every real time entity which refers something into the business, all right, which refers something into the business, that is object here inside the Salesforce. That is object here inside the Salesforce. Now we, after this, after this object ID has been, I'm just trying to give you right now, I'm just trying to introduce this. Otherwise, we have a separate topic, we have a separate topic with the name called as object. Just give me a moment. We have a separate topic name called as an object. We will be going to learn what does this mean by the custom objects and the standard objects. All right. So just now you just have to understand one thing is like, every real world entity, whenever I wanted to store something, a record of something, for example, I wanted to create the records of students, I wanted to create the records of teachers, or maybe we wanted to store the records of how many courses a university would run, right? What are the different types of entrance examination, or maybe some other examinations going on over there. All right. So whenever we wanted to store a record, that record is always stored a map with what something called as entity. A record cannot be anonymous record. Understand? If I'm holding a record inside database, that must belongs to an entity. That must belongs to an entity. If you have a record, if you are saying that I'm having 10 records of what? 10 records of student. I'm having 20 records of teachers. So I just wanted you to understand that whenever we create a record in a database, that record must belongs to an entity. We have to say that this record is like, it's a record of for example, students over there. All right, these are the students, these records belongs to student, individual student. We are having one record, but this record is what it represents a student. So student is what? It's an entity. And in Salesforce, whenever we represent entity, we have something called as an object. You would be going to learn that objects are of still two type. That would be covering in the next topic. This was just an introduction about what exactly is an object. And Salesforce is very rich in terms of object. There are so many objects in Salesforce. We're going to have a detailed discussion when I'll be starting, after a few topics. I'm having a topic called object. That time, I would be giving you and more detailed description of this. But let's now understand what is the topic. Let's now understand, let's now stuck to the topic. What I am starting is object ID. What does it means by the object ID? All right, see, every object in Salesforce, like, like there is chatter is not an object, home is also not an object, but these are features. Lead is an object, account is an object, right? Account is an object. All right, I wanted you to Just a moment. Yeah, I wanted every one of you to, put your eyes over here. Just see what are the changes happen. What are the changes happening over here, right? Just see to that. See, as soon as I click on to lead, something got changed in URL. As soon as I click on to account, something got changed in URL. When I click on contact, when I click on opportunities, when I click on cases, when I click on solutions, what are the changes and where the changes you are observing? If I put it onto the spotlight, this is the place where you are observing the changes. Rest other things are usually same, right? For the lead, it becomes 00Q. For the account, it becomes 001. Contact, it becomes 003. Opportunity 006. Like cases 500, solutions 501. For documents 015. See, right? So these you can see the certain changes is happening just over here. Just over here, certain changes are happening, right? So what now I would require to say would be like, every object have something called as an object ID. Every object have an object ID, and which is unique. It's like the phone number of the person, like Aadhaar card, it's like PAN card. The unique identities, they are never duplicated, right? Two persons couldn't have same Aadhaar or maybe a PAN card. Two person could not have the same mobile numbers. All right. In the same way, the objects in Salesforce, they are having a three-digit number. That's an alphanumeric number. Object have Objects are represented, always they are represented with something called as an object ID. Sometimes object ID is also called as schema ID or maybe object ID key prefix, whatever. There could be different names. There could be different standards usually people used to follow. But yeah, it's one and same thing. It's always an object ID. Now see, every object is always represented with a three-digit alphanumeric number. A three-digit alphanumeric number. What is an alphanumeric number? A number that have alphabets as well as numbers, right? It's an alphanumeric quantity. So for the account, it's 001. For the account, it is 001. For contact, it is 003. Lead 002. Campaigns, cases, right? All right. So every object have a three-digit alphanumeric number. Now, do I require to learn every one of them? No, it's not. Actually, not. But in your project, understand one thing. If you are dealing with few of the common objects, like maybe you're dealing with account, contacts, lead, some of the object, then it would be better if you know the object IDs. It would be better to know the object IDs. Where this object ID would help me out. Where this object ID would help me out. There are two ways. There are two benefits for this. There are two benefits, right? Let me try to show you something. See, if I make small changes in the URL, I'll make it 001 to 003. You're now into the contact, right? If I make it, for example, if I make a small changes in the URL, like I make it 015, all right, I'll be directly branched to document. So this is one thing, but that could be a small thing. You can ignore this. You can make, when you make the changes in URL and for example, you make it like 500. Okay, you are going to land on the case object in that case, say. But that is something you can ignore. This is not an actual purpose for which, I should learn the object IDs. No, no. You should know the object IDs for a different purpose. Usually, see, I'll show you something. Whenever we go, there are two things you would be learning by this topic. First thing is like every object have an ID called as an object ID. The object IDs are always a three-digit. It's a three-digit alphanumeric number. Okay, it could have like 00Q for the lead. Now 00 is number, Q is what? It's an alphabet, right? 00T for the task, 00U for the event, 005 for the users, right? So basically, why should I have a basic understanding about this? Why should I have this? All right, let me try to show you something. I'm going to a developer console where I click onto the my name and there is an option called developer console. All right, I'll just go with this. This is the place where, we are going to do every programming over here. When we start with the second module, the development, right? That time, I would be showing you this. All right, so let me try to grab some records from the account. I'm just making the changes. I'm selecting ID, name, and like this, and like this, and like this. Let me just make some random clicks. And there's a small button over here called query. And when I execute this, All right. So see, what is this? These are what? These are some of the account records. These are some of the account records. The name is Genie Point, United Oil, Edge Communication. All right. What you have to understand, what you have to observe over here is like, see, every record is having something called as an record ID. Record ID. I'm not talking about object ID. I'm talking about record ID. Every record have something called as an object ID or a record ID. What I'm saying, every record have a record ID. Every record have a record ID. All right. Every record have a record ID. This record ID is of 18 digit. This record ID is of 18 digit. This record ID is of 18 digit. Now, why I'm showing it to you from here, I could even show you from this as well. See, if I go to account, all right, which is this account, Genie Point. Let me try to show you something. One interesting fact, one interesting thing. All right. Where is Genie Point? Genie Point, this one. Let me open this. Now, if I open this, see, I could make a, this is also record ID. The same record ID. Let me try to copy and paste it somewhere over here. All right, somewhere over here. This is what it's a record ID of Genie Point. It's a record ID of Genie Point, right? Now you can get the record IDs from user interface as well. See over inside the URL, what you see is a record ID. Record ID of what? Genie Point. But why I'm taking you to the developer console, and from here I'm actually showing you. From here I'm showing you. Let me copy and paste something. Let me again. I'm copying the same thing. Let me bring my cursor over here. See. Do you find any difference? Do you find any difference? Yes, of course, there is a difference. What is that? The difference is that when I get it from the developer console and when I get it from the user interface, I can see a difference of last three digits. These three digits particularly, right? AAM. These three, whatever the characters in the last three digits, they are not present inside the record ID which we have copied from the user interface. This is from user interface and this is from the developer console, right? So why I am showing you something from developer console? Understand there are two reasons for this. And this, yeah, I think you should write because I don't think this is written. This is not written in the notes. This is something you should write. You could write it right now, or this is getting recorded. So later on, when you come back and revise this lecture, that time also you can create. See, always create your notes. Understand? I have given you everything. I'm going to give you so many things as well. बहुत सारी चीजें देंगे हम लोग. But it's always better to create your own notes with your own writing. That would always help. That will always help when you write something by your own hand. So it becomes a combination of your cautious and subconscious mind. It's a usual process. Whenever we wanted to learn something, we always should write it. This is how our mind has been trained. That is the reason अपन बच्चों को क्या बोलते हैं, भाई लिख के याद कर, तू लिख के याद कर, चल लिख रहा है तो अब बोल. है ना? कुछ जब हम बोलते हैं तो that practice, that motor skills, why we taught them? Because human, that is also a science. That is also a science. When we wanted to learn something, we just not learn from brain. Our brain require few more tools. What are those? Our eyes are tools, our ears are tools, our hands are tools, our writings, our touch, our sensitivity, that everything. So involve every, all your senses, just involve everything into learning. Whenever you wanted to seriously remember something, just involve every senses. Involve your hands so that you could have a touch, right? Involve your eyes so that the synchronization between eyes and what you are writing is coming over there. And finally, your brain, that's your repository. All right. So just you involve everything. That is the reason, everyone's used to say कि आप लिख के याद किया करो. It could take a time, little. I think what I could say should be like, it would be a little lengthy process, but you have time. आपके पास भी तो समय बहुत है. अभी तो start किया अपन ने. All right. So see, there's a concept called as record ID. Every record, every object inside Salesforce have the records, right? Whenever you store something, it's always getting stored inside the object. For example, I would say this is a lead record, this is an account record. Genie Point is what? It's an account record. I go to like contacts, I'll open, Siddharth. This is what? This is a lead a contact record, right? If I go to opportunity, I'll open Burlington Textile. What is this record? It's an opportunity record. Now, the records are what? Records are, I mean, something, that represent particular an object. So every record in Salesforce is having something called as a record ID. Every record inside Salesforce is having something called as a record ID. Now, this record ID actually is of 18 digit. This record ID is actually of 18 digit alphanumeric. But when you get it from the user interface, you will be only seeing 15 digit. The last three characters, the first three characters. Let me make a bifurcations over here. Let me make a bifurcations over here, right? See, I'll just a second. Let me try to annotate this. The first three characters, characters, or rather the first three, whatever is there in the first three position, the digits at the first three positions, right? This represents, this represents object ID. This represents object ID. And this complete set is something called as record ID. Even the last three digits are also included. The last three digits are also included into this. The last three digits, they are also included. And that is something called as checksum. But that is also a part of your record ID. This is also a part of record ID. Checksum. So if you have a record ID, though you have an 18-digit ID, or maybe you just have a 15-digit ID, तो you just have a 15-digit ID, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You have to understand कि अगर आप यूजर इंटरफेस से जाओगे, आपको सिर्फ 15 डिजिट नजर आएंगी. So you could end up with by saying to when somebody asks this interview, or maybe to yourself, you could end up with this कि यार ऑब्जेक्ट जो रिकॉर्ड्स आईडी होती हैं वो 15 डिजिट की होती हैं. और ये बहुत कंफ्यूजन देखा मैंने देखा है यूजुअली. मतलब जिनको इस बारे में नहीं पता है, whenever they see a record ID, they always see it into user interface. So they are very confident कि यार it's always a 15 digit. But then I told them कि have you ever accessed this record from a developer console? If you access this from the developer console, you would come to know that the record ID, they are not actually of 15 digits. It's always an 18 digit. It's always 18 digit. Like your organization ID that starts with 00D. That is also 18 digit. Record ID is also 18 digit. Only the thing is like object ID is something that is only of 3 digit. That is of 3 digit. So why I'm asking you to learn few of them. Not now, चलो ठीक है अभी भूल जाओ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. But at least जब तुम प्रोजेक्ट पे होंगे, जब when you are using few of the objects like account, contact वगैरह यूज कर रहे हो, तो account ID is 001, contact ID is 003. तो क्या होता है कि whenever we look inside a record, we always know that first 3 digits represent the object ID. So what we should know is like कि ये जो particular record है, this belongs to, this is 001 है, so it's an account record. 003 है, it's a contact record. 00Q it's a lead record. 500 है case record. Solutions है 500, 501 है solution record. तो ये ना अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को बढ़ाता है, particularly when we wanted to debug or we wanted to identify something. That time it gives us a more a better insight about ki what this record and which object this record actually belongs to. तो दैट इज द रीजन यू शुड नो. और कुछ भी नहीं तो चलो ठीक है, जनरल नॉलेज है अपना, नहीं कहीं यूज होगा, बट जनरल नॉलेज. इफ समबडी आस्क यू ऑब्जेक्ट आईडी कितने बिट का होता है, कितने डिजिट का होता है, तो यू शुड नो 3 डिजिट का होता है, अल्फा न्यूमेरिक होता है. अब समबडी आस्क यू कि लाइक अगर रिकॉर्ड आईडी है तो वो कितने डिजिट का होता है, तो यू हैव टू से 18 डिजिट होता है, अल्फा न्यूमेरिक होता है. द फर्स्ट डिजिट उसमें से भी जो पहला 3 डिजिट पे जो कुछ भी है, 001 है, 500 है, 03 है, 006 है, 700 है, that represents what? That represents the object ID. कि ये particular record, this belongs to this particular object. Likewise, right? That is the reason you should have a knowledge about this. All right. Let's go with the next. These are few of the advantages. All right. Now let's come to this and a very interesting part. I'll take it by today itself. Application creations. All right. See, what is the beauty of this product, Salesforce? We have started like it, I mean, the development part, we just have started. Development in the sense, whatever we are learning right now. Before that, we were just doing the theoretical things. I mean, we were just building certain background knowledge, what is required related to what does it means by cloud computing, and what is a Salesforce technology is all about, right? And all that. That was just a kind of prerequisite information, what you require to carry with you, when you are learning this technology. But we started somewhere around like, in the last week itself, probably, if I'm not wrong. And now, see, even though you don't have any knowledge, any much knowledge, still you are able to develop a application, one application. Now think about this. If I ask you to develop an application maybe with Java, you would be going to say me, sir, abhi to start hua yaar apna course. How could you suppose us, how could you expect us to develop an application, a whole application? We are very, we are very novice to this. And we just have started. We just have started. Our knowledge is very infant and at this stage. How could I build up an application? How could I build up an application in Java, .NET, Python, SAP, or maybe with some other technologies? But Salesforce, is that beautiful product that even though you just have started with Salesforce, without writing a single line of code, you can develop a whole bunch of applications in the day one itself, in the day one. And that is what you are going to witness right now. I'll be creating one application and you also would be going to do the same. I mean, after this, when you are practicing. So Salesforce is that good, technology, which make you capable that you could even develop an application, a whole bunch of CRM application in the day one itself. And for that, you just don't require to have a very deep understanding of Salesforce. That is what we all are doing. Otherwise, creation of application would be the last topic. अगर ये ऐसा नहीं होता था, तो I would first of all start with small concepts. ये पढ़ लो वो देख लो यार ऐसा है, and then after every, अभी तुमने बहुत सारा पढ़ लिया, now you know about lots of the concepts of Salesforce, let's now build up the application. वो आखिरी में आता था. Why? Because for developing a whole application you would require a very deep understanding of that technology. अभी तो आपने स्टार्ट किया ना, how would be you capable to do this? तो कैसा है, देखिए, Salesforce follow a very I could say a different path. We would first of all develop an application, right? We would take the benefit of something called as the standard functionalities, whatever is present, and that is available to us in the day one itself. And now after that, whatever requires to be get customized, that we would be learning. Actually, kaisa I understand one thing. Salesforce is a complete set of solutions. And there are so many functionalities. There are so many functionalities that are ready-madely available over there. बहुत कुछ पहले से ही present है. So in the day one itself, when you build up an application, you will get those functionalities. You will get those functionalities. वो आपको तभी मिल जाता है. उसके अलावा फिर जो customize करना है, if it is present in the Salesforce, we'll again get it from the Salesforce. If not, we're going to create it inside Salesforce. So this is going to be your journey, right? This is going to be your journey. So I'll be creating one application. Let me first of all tell it. So when we creating an application, see application, there are two types: standard application, custom application. Whatever you are creating would be a custom application. Whatever is already there inside your package, that is standard. Let me show you how many standard applications are there. All right. So if I go with the Salesforce, when I go with, I can see sales, service, right? Marketing, community, Salesforce chatter, contents. These are not all tabs. Some of them are functionalities. Some of them are clouds. App Exchange, developer, community, Trailblazer. These are the clouds. These are the these two are the community. This one is a cloud. So this app launcher actually have multiple. It's a sandwich of few more other things as well. What are applications? Sales, service, marketing, community, Salesforce chatter, content. These are applications. What are what are the services? App launcher is one of the service. Site.com. Site.com is a link to the access this cloud. App Exchange is a link to access the cloud. All tabs is a functionality. Developer and Trailblazer, these are the communities. All right. So sales, service, marketing, community, and your chatter and content, these are some of the standard applications. As soon as we have created this environment, as soon as we created this environment, this login, this org, this account, whatever, in the day one itself, we got all this. We got all this sales, service, marketing, and all, right? So these are what? These are the set of standard applications. Do we created them? No. Then who created this? Salesforce. Salesforce, when Salesforce has given you this account contains all those functionalities, all those applications. By default, they were there inside this org. So we used to call every such functionality could be an application, object, whatever. Whenever you see something that is already there inside Salesforce as a part of this package, we call them as a standard. If we are talking this in perspective of application, we would be going to say it's a standard application. It's a standard application. Like मैं इनको क्या बोलूंगा मैं? ये जो आपने देखा अभी, sales is what? It's a standard application. Service, standard application. Marketing, standard application. These are what? These are some standard application. So every such entity, whatever you would be seeing, और ये discussion बहुत लंबा जाएगा, देखना आप। ये काफी मर्तबा ये चीजें सामने में आएंगी जब जब हम कोई नई फंक्शनैलिटी की तरफ बढ़ेंगे। जैसे देखो, इसके बाद में टॉपिक पढ़ाने वाला हूँ ऑब्जेक्ट। ऑब्जेक्ट में फिर से वो टर्म आ जाएगा, स्टैंडर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट, कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट। उसके बाद फील्ड्स पढ़ाने वाला हूं मैं, उसके बाद ना फील्ड्स पढ़ाने वाला हूँ। ठीक है, फील्ड्स पढ़ाऊंगा तब से फिर से वही टर्म आएगी, देखो, स्टैंडर्ड फील्ड, कस्टम फील्ड। तो ये काफी मर्तबा आने वाला है, स्टैंडर्ड रिपोर्ट, कस्टम रिपोर्ट, स्टैंडर्ड डैशबोर्ड, कस्टम डैशबोर्ड, स्टैंडर्ड परमिशंस, कस्टम परमिशन, स्टैंडर्ड यूजर, कस्टम यूजर। बेसिकली कैसा है, ये जो वर्ड है ना स्टैंडर्ड और कस्टम, इसको ना थोड़ा सा समझ लो कि स्टैंडर्ड रिप्रेजेंट ऑल दोस एंटिटीज, वो कुछ भी हो, एप्लीकेशन हो, ऑब्जेक्ट हो, फील्ड हो, कुछ भी हो। Standard represent that particular entity which is already there inside the org as a part of package, as a part of this edition, as a part of this organization. This is already created inside this Salesforce. We call them as a standard. If it's an application, we would going to call this as a standard application. And whatever we would, then the changes, whatever we made, if something new we created, I create one application just now, abhi create kar raha hu, so that would be going to term as what? Custom application. तो ये जो वर्ड है ना स्टैंडर्ड और कस्टम, इसके बीच का फर्क जान लीजिए, और ये काफी मर्तबा आपके सामने में आने वाला है। ऑलराइट, सो कस्टम, व्हाटएवर वी वुड बी क्रिएटिंग वुड बी एन कस्टम एंटिटी। अगर मैं एप्लीकेशन क्रिएट कर रहा हूं तो मैं बोलूंगा देखिए आज मैंने एक कस्टम एप्लीकेशन क्रिएट किया। देखिए मैंने आज, विदाउट इवन नोइंग द नॉलेज, विदाउट हैविंग, नॉट हैविंग लॉट्स ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ Salesforce, स्टिल आई वुड बी एबल, आई एम एबल टू क्रिएट अ कस्टम एप्लीकेशन। तो लेट्स सी व्हाट, हाउ वी कैन क्रिएट। तो before going further with this, there's a terminology called as governor limits. Governor limits. So there's a common question in Salesforce, why there is a governor limits. In the Salesforce, why there is a governor limits. For that, I would be going to first of all take a topic called multi-tenant architecture. And now after multi-tenant architecture, there would be, I'm going to explain you why there are governor limits. Okay, probably by tomorrow morning, I could take that because I was just waiting to have this terminology. I just wanted every one of you to make an impact with this. And then I would be explaining what is a governor limit and why there are governor limits in the Salesforce. All right. So governor limits, first of all, would be like, there are few of the restrictions that are imposed as an user. We are Salesforce user. If I'm holding this account with me, if you're holding this account with you, that means you are a Salesforce user. All right. For every user, Salesforce has given a set of rules and you have to follow. You cannot cross out of that. I mean, there's a boundary where we would require to do whatever we are doing, right? And we cannot do the things beyond that boundary. So that boundary, that rules, that restriction that have been imposed onto us from the Salesforce is something called as a governor limit. And why there is a governor limit would be a part of tomorrow's discussion. Please, someone of you, please, whenever I start by tomorrow, please remind me that, sir, we have to start with a topic called multi-tenant architecture and thereby commit this as well. Why there are governor limits. All right. Please, if I'm more supposed to forgot this because this is what I am today. I would be busy, very busy. This is Mondays and Fridays, they are extremely busy for IT people, right? So I'm in a little bit suspected that I could probably forgot this. So any one of you, just please remind me we have to do a topic called multi-tenant architecture and why there are governor limits in the Salesforce. All right, that would be the starting point of tomorrow's discussion. All right, so when we are creating an application, particularly, we cannot create a standard application. They're already there. Whatever we would be creating is going to be called as custom applications. Now, when we are creating a custom application, the account which I am holding, you are holding is developer account. This edition, what we are using is a dev ad. It's a developer edition account, right? We are using this for our training, for the understanding of Salesforce, right? In this account, we could maximum create 10 applications, 10 custom applications, not more than that. This is a restriction on every one of us. But in the real time, whenever you are using unlimited edition, usually that $300 per user per month, there is no limit. There is no limit. You can create any limit. You can get any number of applications. That is why probably, I'm not sure, but that could be a reason we call this as an unlimited account, right? Unlimited edition. But in the what we are using, we are having a restriction that we could maximum create 10 applications, not more than that. 10 applications, not more than that. All right. So let me create one application for you. You will be creating the same application. This is the navigation what we require to follow. I'll just create one application. So for this, you first of all would require to go to the setup menu and then go to the build menu and then expand the create menu. All right. And as soon as you expand, see the first link over here is apps, and that apps represent the application, custom applications, right? These are all the list of applications you're right now having. This all is the list of uh, applications right now what you are having, and all of them are standard application. Why I'm telling you this? All of them are standard applications because see, particularly there is a column called as custom, and it is having checkboxes. Like console is also having checkboxes. Console is also having checkboxes. I will be giving you what is in console. I'm coming to that. Don't worry. For all of the custom applications, if you have them, this checkbox is checked. For example, if it is checked like this, I would say कि ये वाला application custom है. If I checked like this, I would say this is a custom application. But right now, as you can see there, I mean, this is not checked. So all of them are standard application. Application, there are two types, standard and console. Console. Standard application, console. What you are developing is a standard application. I mean, और ठीक है उसको custom उस हिसाब से बोलते हैं, पर वो एक अलग चीज है. लेकिन दो तरह के होते हैं. एक होता है आपका CRM application बोलो ना, not standard, and the second one is console. CRM स्टैंडर्ड, CRM कंसोल, ऐसा. तो कंसोल एप्लीकेशन क्या है, ये मैं एक वीडियो देने वाला हूँ आपको इस चीज का, उसको एक अलग प्रोस्पेक्टिव में मैं दिखा देता हूँ अभी आपको, बट ये भी कवर हो जाएगा, डोंट वरी. What I was saying, हाँ. So let me first of all create an application. These all are the standard application. Let me now create a one custom application. You can see there is a button in the top, new. Just go to that. What I will be building, custom application or console? I'm going with the custom application. I'm going with the custom application, right? Let me click on to the next. I will be developing an application जैसे HR management का. So batch 208 HR management, right? This is the name of application, or maybe let me make it 208 HR management. You can give any relevant name to this, no problem. 208 HR management, and then I'm clicking on to the next. What is the underscores? The name should always start with what I change is like, you know, in the app name. This is something called as API name. It should always start with alphabet, not number. So I just put up an X over there, nothing else. Next. Okay. Right now I will be using this image only, this one, but you know, later on by tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, we will going to understand how we can use a separate image as well. Right now I'll going with this image. That's a Salesforce default image. Okay. And right now, if you remember, I told you that 15th of this month we were having new release. So you can see the first release is always summer. Summer 23 has been started. Summer 23 has been started. Right? Someone mic is on. Please take care of all this here. Every time I have to say this. So your new release has just 15th of this month. You know, now if you click onto any server, you can see, all right, it's winter 23. I'm sorry about summer. What is that? We have identified this. Just a moment. Winter, obviously. It was previously summer. Yes, I almost forgot. So the next release was winter 23, right. Summer. I was thinking कि अभी spring चल रहा था ऐसा. तो winter 23 has been started. See, winter 23, this release has been, right? Winter 23 has been started. कब हुआ ये? 15th, 15 तारीख को हुआ है. So now we are having this logo. You know, every time whenever a new release comes, this logo changes. And this 23 represent what is that? Okay, so winter 23 is the present release. Next would be your spring 23. After that, summer 23. So I'm developing an application. I'm going with that image only. Now see, every application, for example, if you go with this, if you go with, for example, service, if you go with sales, these are having some tabs over here, right? These are having some tabs. Marketing, again, these are having some tabs. So whatever the application you are building, home should always be there. Home should always be there. Now you could get a list of all these objects, all these tabs. You can select key what should be there into your application. So I'm just selecting few of the tabs for now, and later on, I could make the changes as well. I could make the changes at any point of time, whenever you wanted, you could, make the changes. Let me go with some of the basic objects. Did I selected account? I don't think so. All right, let me select the accounts as well. And let me add this, let me add, or let me try to add contacts as I've already added. Cases, I don't think I have added case. Charters, cases is there. Oh, it's already there. And let me have dashboards as well. Let me have leads. Let me have opportunities. And let's go with this only. बाद में जब लगा तो देख लेंगे. So I've added few of the tabs over there. The default landing should always be home. You can, if you want, you can make it changes, but it's always, the usual process is okay, the application whenever is loaded, it should be landed onto home, right? Going with the next, then these all are the different profile users. You have to click this and make it visible for all of the profile users for now at least, because you don't have understanding about the profiles and security, application level security. There are 5 different layers of securities in Salesforce, right? We would be going to learn that. We would be going to learn that. The first layer is actually application layer, and this is what where the place where we would decide okay, one application should be visible to which user or not. You have all those options. You have all those options over here. If you wanted this application should be specifically visible to these users, just make those clicks, and it is going to be visible to them. Otherwise, for all other user, they wouldn't have an access to this. This is the first level of security. We call this as an application level security. But right now you don't have understanding, so don't do it. Just make it visible for everybody, no problem, right? Later on, this is the generalization. Later on, we are going to understand about specializations of every topic. For now, just make it visible for every user and save it. Save it. So see, with just a few random clicks, you have built up your first custom application. And see, the checkbox is checked. So 208 HR management. So where you will going to find it over here? Every application, whenever it's created, it is going to be listed out over here itself. You see this application? Just make a click. Now you are on to what? 208 HR management. And these are the tabs what you have created. I mean, at the time of creation, you have selected. Can you make the changes? Yes, of course. If I wanted to remove something, just go with the same process. Like I don't want it to have content and contracts. All right, I'm just removing this. You want to add something, just add it. Whenever you finish with your, just save it and you are having a new tab, right? So this is how we can add we can create an application. I created this, you all also have to create the same thing. You also have to create the same thing by today, all right? And so you can see that there's no requirement of doing programmings for this, right? So this is how we can develop an application. We can create an application. Go with this by today. Tomorrow, I would be going to start with a new thing called as document object, right? Today I cannot take your questions because I'm having a continuous batch. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.